All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Take Action Podcast with David Adam Kurz. I'm here with my friend Shawn Rossbach, who is the president, owner, founder of Max Home Inspections. So welcome to the show. Thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Awesome, man. This is episode 201. You have been on previous episodes in the early days. We've been working together. We were just discussing it maybe 5-6 years now. And I've seen your growth, man. And that's why I wanted to bring you on the show, because I was thinking, first of all, you've been on the show a few times. And then I think one of your assistants or your media guy reached out to me and said, hey, Shawn needs to be on your podcast. And I was like, boom, I don't know why I didn't think about this better. And so, and the reason for that is, you're my go-to inspection guy, right? Like you're my go-to inspection guy. And I've had so many inspection guys come out of the woodwork like, hey, Dave, let's work together. I'll give you this, I'll give you that, massive discounts, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I'm good. And I want people to understand why I say that, because it's one thing to have a good relationship with someone. It's another thing to have a good relationship and superior customer service. So let's talk about that for a minute, because when I first met you and you had just started in the game, as your partner, right? Your wife.
Yep.
I think it helped you a lot. I probably still does. I don't know the dynamic anymore. And so it was just kind of you guys, and maybe a couple inspectors, and it was a very small operation. And one of the methods that you used to get in front of people was, hey, I'll come to your office and teach a class.
Absolutely.
Right. So talk to me about the early days of building your business and how you feel like you best got in front of people.
Absolutely. So the best way to build a business is to speak in front of an audience. Speaking in front of the audience automatically makes you an expert in the field. And it puts all eyes on you and puts you in the spotlight. Some people hate it, but I love it, because to me, I have a great time when I'm there. And my job is to entertain people. And classes are something that just help people. And what better synergy can it be that I can help you, a real estate agent, or your team, or people that work around you, do more business and therefore have more opportunities to work with me? I mean, how much easier can it get that I can help you do something and that I automatically get more opportunities because of that, which is how we got into it. And one of the principles we used for speaking, a lot of people get hung up with, I got to make sure it's this, and they got to learn this, and they got to learn that. Most of the time, just look back on what you remember from high school. How many classes do you remember that you learned something out of? And the answer is almost none, because it's not memorable. So to make it memorable, I teach my team that your job is to make sure people have fun. If they have fun, they're going to remember they had fun. They're going to remember you, and they're probably going to remember something you taught them. If they walk out of there and they go, I learned X, Y, and Z, next week you ask them, they have no idea what they learned, and they don't remember you at all.
No, they don't.
So that's just the foundation. So try to make it fun, throw in jokes. I have tons of dad jokes and bad humor and just, little quirks. And I try to have a good time, and I make sure I'm having a good time in front of people. And, it's been really fun to read the room and just have a good time. It's a party. With me, it's a party. We're having a party. And if you learned something, great. If you didn't, we had a good time.
Yeah. And I think, when you used to come on early on and talk to my brokerage and speak to our teams, you really came across as truly wanting to help. And I think that's where you win, right? I think that's where you win. And I think, and we'll talk about any profession, let it be real estate, home inspection, mortgage appraisal, whatever it is. When you come across as you just want the business, you're less effective than when you come across as I truly want to help you out, right? Because your classes, granted, they're on home inspection stuff, but that's what you do, And so, of course, that's what you're going to teach, but it helps an agent truly understand how to combat certain issues, right? Like my favorite is the GCFI or GFI or whatever it's called.
Okay.
That's my favorite thing, right? Because clients look at that and go, oh my God, it's an electrical issue, right?
Yeah.
And if we don't teach our agents to look at them and go, hey, this is a $3 Home Depot fix, right?
Most of the time, it's a really cheap fix.
Right. And so they just, they have this, if agents have an understanding then they have more control. They can help more. They can care more about their clients. And that's where you come in. You really, truly care about people's success.
Absolutely. And following that up is, I don't just talk about business. I talk about the things that I like and the things that you like. And I'm like, hey, I went flying the other day. Do you have any similar hobbies? What can we talk about? You know, I raced motorcycles back in the day. You like to ride Harleys. Cool. Like, we have common ground. So it doesn't have to be just about business, although plenty of times that's what we talk about. But build a relationship on common grounds that you can talk about. Otherwise, transaction. I'll go to the next person. They can do that too. So if you want to build lasting clients that are, you know, going to be with you for the long haul, it's that relationship, which is just simply interactions over time and finding some common ground to you know, maintain a friendship with.
I'm typing things as we go along because I like the people that are watching us live, you know, be able to catch up and pay attention as we communicate this. So one of the things that I've seen happen with your business as you've grown, first of all, you're in the whole state of Florida?
The whole state of Florida and all the major markets of Texas.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So what made you jump to Texas versus Atlanta, Georgia?
By the way, this is a couple of times I'm like, we should have just gone to Georgia, but we had a good opportunity there. Florida and Texas are the fastest growing real estate markets in the country. All right. Listen, I go where it's easy. Wherever that lowest hanging fruit is, that's where you find me, because I'm not going to work hard. You know, I work hard. I want to catch the easy fruit. So that's where people are going. Let's go there.
You know, that's so cool that you said that, because oftentimes a lot of realtors come to me and they go, I want to be a luxury home specialist. And I was like, welcome to what everybody else wants, right? And my response to that is, you know, high-end real estate takes time to build up. It takes time to create those relationships. It takes time to get those listings. And also when you get those listings, it takes time to sell them, right? You put a $10 million home on the market, it doesn't fly off the shelf the same way a $400,000 home does. So I often tell new agents, come in and embrace the $300,000-$400,000 purchase. Embrace the bread and butter of real estate, because that's what pays the mortgage, the bills, the car, the food, the going out, the, you know, whatever luxuries you want to have. And most people that are massively successful in real estate, most people, not all, but most people that are massively successful in real estate figured that out. They figured out, let's focus on the $300,000 to $500,000 range and let's do a lot of it. Right?
Absolutely. We're going to do about 20,000 transactions this year. And the majority of those are $300,000 to $500,000 homes. And the majority of those are done by agents that do 1 to 4 transactions a year, which is really interesting to see that kind of connection.
Yes. That's incredible. So now let's talk about more growth. I want to talk about communication, right? So I harp at real estate agents all the time. You know, I coach professionally. You know that I've got my teams, and I'm harping all the time about communication. They're like I brought you up in my team meeting the other day. You know, oftentimes we have a CRM, we're running Facebook ads, we're running Google ads. We've got clients that register on our website, and then, you know, an agent calls them 1 time or 2 times and gets nervous, doesn't want to bother them too much, you know, so forth and so on. And this happens a lot with groups that I speak to, people that I coach. And I said, man, listen, when I get a lead, I call, I text, I leave a voicemail, I send an email, and I send a video. Like I send a video. I do my, hey, how you doing? This is David, man. You know, you just registered on my website. You know, let me know how I can help. I want people to truly understand who I am and what I'm trying to do, right? And so I think of the psychology of this. If somebody hears my voice and sees my face, the only thing left to do is shake my hand, right? So if I could get 66% ahead in relationship, human contact, then I'm winning. And that's something that Max Home Inspections does really well, is like heavy communication. Like, and something happened to me the other day that tripped me out. Maybe you could help us on how to do this. First of all, I'll say this. When I go on the website and I set up an appointment for one of my clients for a home inspection, I'm able to not only identify myself as the realtor, but put all the client's information, property information in, choose which are the important inspections necessary for the home, and then submit it. And Max Home Inspection automatically starts calculating or scheduling this while an invoice goes out to the client so that they can pay. And then I just reach out to the client and say, hey, pay this invoice, right? And then they say, great, no problem. And they can take care of it. And then boom, we've got an inspection. And your inspections are done. And then the report comes in within an hour or two, you know? And so it's that hour or two, I'm going to call that customer service. Let's get back to communication. The other day I'm putting in a client. And I did not finish because we got to the point of price. And I said, let me call them and make sure that they're okay with these added things that I'm going to put on here that I find are necessary, like a pool inspection, right? And so I just kind of left it there and I went to go call my client. Before I could do that, your office called me, right? And so like, I'm still thinking here, guys, right? Your office called me and they were like, hey, David, I saw you were on the website registering for 123 Main Street. You know, is there anything I could do to help you finish this, right? Also, hey, David, I saw you already registered. Hey, on that house, because of age, I recommend the sewer scope inspection. Hey, David, by the way, we have pest control, monthly paces. So, you know, we can hook you up your client with this. Hey, David, we have this warranty that these are calls that I get, right? And then 2 days after the inspection, hey, David, I saw that you guys did the inspection on this place. Is there anything you want to go over on the inspection? Anything we can help you understand? You know, and then, you know, and all of this is happening while in a matter of like 3 or 4 days with an inspection in the middle of that, you know? And so this really high level of communication, you know, I tell people, yeah, could it be annoying? Sure. Does it matter? No, because it's going to be one day that I'm going to look at the inspection and go, you know what? Yeah, I kind of do want to go over this.
So when we started calling people back to go over their inspection report, our complaints dropped by like 75%. How amazing is that?
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, we still get, oh, you're annoying me, leave me alone. Hey, no problem. Delete the email. Don't answer my phone call. But honestly, when you call somebody to go over their inspection report, they're like, oh, I never even looked. Most people never look at their inspection report. I'm just like, why did you pay us? You know, if you're not going to look at it, like that's what you order. That's the service that you're paying for. But when it comes to communication for people, I mean, this is something I've heard my whole life, right? It takes 8 to 12 contacts with somebody before they'll become your client, right? So when we train our team to go out there and be a sales force, I tell them, look, your job is not to get somebody to book an inspection today. I mean, that's cool if they do, but that's not your job. Your job is to become a relationship that they have and that you build on because it's interactions over time. Maybe after you meet them 10 times, hey, you know, do you know that we can book an inspection today for you and be out there and do that? Great. But don't try to sell them the first time. Like they're just getting to know you. It's just how it works. And that's the 8 to 12 is what we've heard. I'm sure you've heard of this your whole life.
Yeah, 100 times. Yeah. I mean, this is it. This is it. And by the way, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. Right?
People try to sell you now. Hey, I just met you. Buy my thing. It's like you're not Girl Scout cookies.
Yeah, and communication is another thing because sometimes it takes 50 to 20 tries, right? Because people are getting way more savvy, right? Yep. Let's talk about the real estate market for a minute. People can research just about anything they want on the real estate market by going to Google.com. You know, at the end of the day, we like this. It's hilarious to me that we'll look at our kids and they'll come and ask us a question. I'll go, dude, it's right here. Like we bought you this, and it wasn't just so you could TikTok. You know what I mean? Like Google it, man. And then so the same thing happens to most of our consumers, most of our clients. They're Googling information, they're learning as much as possible. Maybe not something you could do with a home inspection, but in the real estate side of things. Yeah, it's totally something you can do. A client can go on Google and learn the market. They can learn market value. They can, if a client is savvy enough, they can learn how to do a CMA and figure out price on their own, you know, by looking at what's selling in the area, you know. They can watch a YouTube video on how to do a CMA the same way you or I can.
Right. It's not like the old days where you had to get the little tiny blue microfilms for the MLS that got sent out and go to an office. And I don't know if you remember those days, but I grew up in a real estate family and I would go to the office and I'd love playing with the little machine. I had no idea what I was doing back then, but that's where it came from. And now everybody has access to this, and places like Zillow are making it more accessible, which means the real estate agent has to prove their value even more. It's not just because you show up. You have to be valuable to your client. So think about it. If you're going to ask somebody to pay you a large portion of money to do a service, what value are you bringing them? And you want to be very on point and targeted with what your value statement is. Like with ours, it's hey, we make inspections fun, easy, and simple. And then we expedite the service, and it's fast, and we have our mission statements, and we have our core values, and that's what we bring to the table. There's other, inspectors out there like, I'm going to do the best inspection ever. Well, everybody's going to do the best inspection they possibly can. Like, what's your value? Why you? And there's a lot of great people out there in real estate that you're competing against. I mean, there's, in Broward County alone, there's 25,000 real estate agents, like you really got to be knowing what your marketing message is. And it can be totally different than somebody else. Hey, I'm a friendly person. I answer the phone. That goes a long way. That goes a really long way for people. So
and I'll tell you, that's it's funny because we're gonna say, man, how am I supposed to be competitive in a market with 50,000 plus agents? Pick up your phone. Start there, because if you pick up your phone, you beat about 49,000.
Absolutely.
Right? And so something you said there, and when I have a program called the SOP that I'm working with some of my clients on, and my coaching clients, and one of the coaching sessions is your value proposition. What is your UVP, right? Your unique value proposition. And I did this with my team not long ago, and I think it really helped them kind of open up their eyes to what it is that they bring to the table, right? Because oftentimes we could just fall into a business and just do the business, and we don't really know what our value proposition is, and people don't know either. So they're not trying to get with us because we're not telling them what we're value it and where we value, Right. And so, some folks, like I know some super high-end luxury agents, their value proposition is that they know everybody in the neighborhood, like by name. You know what I mean? They know the owners by name, they know their dogs by name, they know their, the housekeepers by name, the house managers by name, like they know all this stuff by name. And so when that's huge all on its own, but there's other ways to bring value to the table. For instance, I have I don't want to call it a soft spot, but I have a very unique love for veterans, right? And so for me, if you're a veteran, I know the VA loan back and forth. I know how to propose a VA contract. I know where a lot of agents are scared to say, hey, my buyer's a VA buyer, here's my offer. No, man, I know how to present it, to let people know that the VA loan is the best loan out there, right? And so, when you find your value in something, you're able to present it well enough to where, you can stand out. Now, with your high level of communication and you pushing out, and now people understand what your value is, right? How do you feel? What do you think was one of the biggest keys to your massive growth, to go to stateswide, to be in all these major metropolitan areas? Like, what was the key to your success? And I know there's many.
Oh yeah, it's a limited supply.
What's the one thing you could sit back and go, holy smokes, man, that really did? So,
do you remember ever going to an event that I or my teammates were not at for the last 5 years?
No.
I said yes to everything, no matter what it was. Literally, the only thing I hear, you guys are everywhere. Fine, I'll give you a chance. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So we were just going to be everywhere until people understood we weren't going anywhere. We're here to stay. Use us now, use us later. You use us eventually, which is why I never pushed anyone hard to do anything. If you don't want to use us, don't use us. When your guy's sick or on vacation, give us a call. We'll be your number 2. I'll be your number 5. But, we exist. We're here. And over time, after you start doing just a huge volume, I believe last month we were 30% of all transactions in Broward County. In Miami, we're less, and Palm Beach were less, and the rest of the state were less. But Broward's where we started, so we're naturally larger there. Knowing that I'm 1 out of 3 transactions in the county is like, whoa, that's pretty crazy. So people just learn about you naturally. And when I'm doing things, when we're doing the inspection, and do you remember the green bag?
Yeah.
That green bag, people are like, oh, it's for the client. I'm like, nope, it's not for the client. It's for the realtors there. You want that green bag to impress the two realtors there, and maybe the client and the seller too, because you have 3 other opportunities standing there at the inspection that we're doing to impress somebody to try us the next time. And usually you hear from one of the realtors is, hey, you got to check this out. Look what this guy does. Or the only other thing they said is, my guy doesn't do that. I'm using you from now on. Because we make it fun. It's like, oh, this is a fun time. Otherwise, the inspections are boring. They're hot. No one wants to be there. Everyone's upset that you're finding things wrong with their house. And I'm like, look, that's not our job. Is just to represent the house. We are the voice of the house, so you know what's going on here. Yeah. So, I mean, you make it fun. That's what I'm all about. Is have an enjoyable experience here.
So I'm going to mess with you now. How many bags of popcorn and how many DVDs do you currently have in stock?
Well, I think the reason the stock for Costco goes up is because the amount of popcorn I buy from them. We go through 400 bags of popcorn a week.
Oh my goodness, bro.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. And just so people understand, Shawn's company, this is how they test the microwave to see if it works. They get some popcorn going, and now the whole house smells like buttery popcorn. You can't beat it. You can't beat it. It's like doing an open house and melting cookies in the oven, Exactly. If we could do it with cookies in a simple, easy manner that people won't get salmonella, I would do that. Yep. And then with the movies, why DVDs? What made you do that?
Oh, this is great. Remember the store GameStop and their sister company MovieStop? Yeah. MovieStop went out of business, and my wife and I were leaving dinner, and I walked in, and it's like everything's on fire and must go. For $100, I got 1,000 DVDs, and it didn't even fit in my car anymore. We couldn't even pack them all in my car. It was great. Buy 10, get 1 free. The register froze, and they're like, whatever, just give us $100 because they had to clear the store. So we're driving home, and in the back seat, there's no room in the back seat. It's just loaded with DVDs. We had to roll the window up and slide them in to get them in there. They're falling on the floor and getting under the brake pedal while we're driving home. Oh my God. So I'm like, all right, look, we got popcorn. Let's throw a movie in there. Now it's it's like a date night, and we just had fun with it. And it was just let's try something. If it doesn't work, whatever. We spent $100. Who cares? And then after that, oh, this was awesome. Let's do it more. How do we find DVDs? Oh, we got to go look for lots on, whatever. Blockbuster's still selling their old lots. It's just a process. You find what works and what's fun. Then we gave out water. We kind of had to stop for COVID, but whatever. We'll give out water when we can. Give people that experience. People want the Disney World experience. That's what they want. They want to feel like they're having a great time. It doesn't matter what they spend on this. They want to be appreciated. They want to have a smile on their face. They want to know that somebody cares about them and can follow up with them. That's what people want. When I go somewhere, I go, do I feel good here? If not, it doesn't matter. Everything else is irrelevant. I want to have a good experience. Otherwise, I ain't ever coming back. It's funny that you said that. Give people the Disney experience, because Disney's the only place that can truly give you that sort of experience, right? So you want people to feel like your company is the only company that's going to give you this sort of experience, and no other competitors would be able to compete. Right. Even if they do something similar, so that's why you back it up with a relationship. Yep. Shawn, man, this is awesome, dude. I really appreciate you being on the show. I want to ask you 2 questions that I ask all my guests. Okay. We don't use the word failure on the show. We replace it with hiccup. Okay. So what would you say in the time that you've been doing or have owned Max Home Inspections in your growth, what would you say was your biggest hiccup, and how did you overcome it? The biggest hiccup for us was not hiring and training people sooner. Every year I complained I don't have enough inspectors. Every single year until this last year. We finally figured out how to hire people. I mean, knowing how to hire, train, and get people up and running is one of the hardest things you can do. I know I work with realtors that could be 10 times as success stories if they just found somebody to help them. And by the way, you can get a VA to help you do a lot of the paperwork, so inexpensively. Mine is on right now. I mean, it's so easy. Background of the show. She reached out to me and called me, and I was like, oh, awesome. They speak perfect English. I mean, I have people from the Philippines. I have people from Colombia. It's don't be scared to try it, and let them teach them. Be willing to teach them. So many people, I can't teach them anything. Like, all right, well, you're going to be by yourself forever. So hiring, finding and hiring talent and training them, I've never had enough people until this year. We have several people full-time just working on that. 2 people full-time work on hiring and getting people started at the company.
Have you thought about, man, I might be going totally off topic here, but have you thought about creating some sort of certifications for your home inspectors?
I mean, we have the national, the license and the state licensing that we go through for that. And I mean, we have a very rigorous training. I mean, our guys that become inspectors are, I mean, it's a hard lifestyle. I mean, you're out of the house in the morning, you get home late, you're hot and sweaty, you don't get lunch, you know, like it's nonstop. So they work hard. And we don't really do part-time very well because, you know, we're crunching. But we put everybody in the back end through some sort of home inspection training, so they at least have an idea of what's going on. And it is something we do. We try to make sure everyone takes the CPE course that we teach real estate agents, the Certified Protection Expert, because it's a very simple, down-to-earth course that even if you've never seen a roof before, by the time you're done, you're like, oh, I kind of understand what's going on here.
Right.
So absolutely.
Right. That's great news, man. Well, thank you for doing this with me. You know, we put out 8 strong pointers out there. I appreciate your feedback on your hiccup, because that's a big one for most people, believe it or not. You know, the failure to hire well. You know, dude, I'm pumped. I'm gonna see one of your guys at 2:00. So awesome. I'm excited. And I'll tell you something, when you, and for the folks listening out there, when you work with the right inspector or the right inspection company, you often don't feel the necessity to be at the inspection. It's very rare that I go to inspections now because of how long I've worked with Shawn. And so, and my team, I leave it completely up to them. If they want to go, they go. If they don't, they don't. Because the client, I encourage them to go.
Absolutely.
And one thing Max Home Inspections does well is it allows the client to follow them and track them around the house, so they can explain things as they go, so that by the time the report is written, because ladies and gentlemen, these reports are written like medical theses, right? So when the report is written and people read it, they don't get that shock, that sticker shock, if you will, right? Because they were there and they saw and they understood and it was explained to them. And that is huge, and it doesn't get better than that. Shawn, thanks for being a great leader in the industry. Thanks for being a wonderful person who has built a great company that I and my whole team really truly depend on.
I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure to have you on the show once again, man.
Absolutely. I'll pass that on to my team. You know, they do all the hard work. I barely do anything these days.
Well, let them know that we greatly appreciate them at a very high level.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time too. Let me know if I can ever help you.
Absolutely. Guys, if you ever want to get in touch with Shawn, or you're trying to get a home inspection done, just go to maxhomeinspections.com, and you'll see there, if you schedule your first inspection, you get $50 off your inspection. They're available 7 days a week. When you click on schedule an inspection today, it'll take you through a step-by-step process. You're able to do whatever you want to do and go ahead and work with your clients at a very high level. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. Episode 201 today. Thank you, Shawn, for being on the show with us, and we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.